There was this guy named Ramirez. He, at one point in time, had been the minister of the oil ministry in Venezuela. You know, whatever actually happened to him is a matter of speculation right now. Was he deposed? Was he run out? Did he flee? Is he trying to mount a campaign abroad so that he can go and depose Maduro and deal with the CIA plant that they're trying to set up in a young person that they want to take responsibility for the gaming that's happened on the Venezuelan people while they've committed literally probably the world's worst bond fraud in the last decade? I don't know. I don't know. But I do know that we are about, what, 2 weeks maybe after the 10-year anniversary in the coup in Honduras. And I've known for a long time that a bunch of gamers in the political spectrum in the United States were banking on some sort of regime change to happen this year. There was supposed to be a very significant disturbance that was completely pre orchestrated in order to create a illusion that there was a people's call to deal with, rising up and deposing whoever was in charge. Now, if Clinton had been elected, this would have taken one particular course. But Clinton wasn't elected, right? Trump was elected. So we've had years and years and years of these impeachment efforts, and there's absolutely justifiable reasons to impeach Trump, just as there's absolutely justifiable reasons to impeach Obama, and nobody's even talking about them, right? All right, so now we're here where we are, and I bring up Ramirez because I read this interview beginning of this year. They've tried to change the information, but I read the interview. I got it somewhere in my archive, where it was an older interview where he was talking about and talking to the reporter about conversations they were having with China and about how Venezuela and China had plans that in the next 2 years China was going to start heavily investing derivatives into Venezuela. And let me tell you, they were talking about derivatives specific to the gas and oil sector in Venezuela in a very direct manner. And my understanding is that part of this was part of long term deals that had been hooked up with other countries in the world related to the role that derivatives played in the gas and oil sector, i.e., China was going to get paid, and then when China got paid, they were going to pay Venezuela. But at some point in time, in the last 10 years, things got reconfigured, and people started playing these little games with, I'm not going to pay you. See, the thing is if the terms of the contract were fraudulent at the onset, that needs to be acknowledged. If it was actually a capital outlay as opposed to a loan, that needs to be acknowledged. If it was a capital outlay as opposed to a loan, and you did not cooperate with somebody else's political agenda and they decided to reprogram you, especially if it was a federal loan, and then characterize it as, I don't know, healthcare related cost as opposed to, I don't know, development in security infrastructure, that needs to be addressed. But now, Ramirez, the Venezuelan Ramirez, he's out of the picture unless you're some homeless woman trying to get an ID and wondering why you keep dinging fucking news feeds around Venezuela and the coup there while you're trying to get your ID. It makes a lot of sense a year later when somebody's trying to take your legal filing and force you to go without your consent before a magistrate judge for criminal charges. There's no legitimate basis for trying to refer someone to a magistrate judge when they're trying to get criminal charges filed. Unless her name's Ramirez. Why do I bring this up now? Because there were people that were expecting to have one relationship with the derivatives economy based on deals they hooked up with this country. Nobody's talking about that. Nobody is getting to the damn fucking point. What the hell are these derivatives? Who was responsible for cataloging them? Who feels right now they're entitled to make the decisions about their investment or their characterization? Did the United States at some point in time agree, as part of more than a 25-year relationship it had with the former Soviet Union, that when it came time for those deals to mature, that derivatives based on expired medical records for treatment in the United States would then be anonymized and made available as some sort of product that would then be used to pay in regards to these long-standing financial relationships we had with other countries. Has there been some cock war, some big time territorial pissing on who has priority to what grade of derivatives between China and Russia based on intentionally conflicting and fraudulent and deceptively engaged deals during the Bush administration and the Clinton administration that nobody decided they were going to call out or expose during the Obama administration, and that now are being subjected to some kind of high level theater under the Trump administration? Why did you lie and say that I needed medical treatment so that you could code a bunch of fake stories about my life and then sell them to other people, including people running for political office? Right? Because I got a 5-spot that keeps coming up on securities fraud, and it doesn't hit one damn fucking person in the United States that's responsible. Right? And that was my patient records that got stolen. Right? I mean, when you put together an alleged therapy session and you literally misreport intentionally the amount of money somebody reports they received from the federal government, why would that be allowed to stand? And why would that alone not be considered Medicare fraud? Social Security fraud? Because you had absolutely every fucking intention of bouncing us around, extending timelines so we never got our own patient records so we could track them ourselves, so that you could wipe our identity out and then sell them as profiles for other people. And if you get a woman that's capable of putting the makeup on and getting herself gussied up appropriately, you could even switch out the racial demographic. And as long as she's willing to sign that confidentiality agreement, you can take the good stuff that you harvested from my life and the lives of so many other competent people I met on the street and in shelters who had some crisis and now are trying to rebuild their life as some pre-programmed automaton who's not supposed to have a political consciousness, so that other people can go parrot our lives in a completely disingenuous form. If you agreed to make a partnership with Putin, or you agreed to make a partnership with China, or if you agreed to make a partnership with anybody else in order to dispossess your own people and create robots that are parroting our lives, you deserve what you got coming. I have a feeling that it just didn't work out. Why have I for the last week been prepped as a candidate and not one fucking person's emailed me, not one fucking person's talked to me the same way it's happened for 5 years? There's an article about some women that are providing some sort of vanguardism in this context of the upcoming election. You know, the same thing happened in 2018, and I was on the streets being pinged like I was last night to give my political analysis, and then finding other people speaking it the next day. Still, nobody's talked to me. I've reported terrorism. I've reported fraud. I've reported electronic sex crimes involving children. Who the fuck are you that you think you deserve an election campaign? You don't. It's bond fraud. It's Social Security fraud. It's Medicare fraud. It's the means by which illicit syndicates finance acts of domestic and international terrorism. And apparently, they're trying to recruit another generation of front people. This isn't about bankruptcy. You're fucking traitors.